Laura, thank you. There's Jamie McLennan, Craig Button, and Darren Dreger. After a start to the series that was just wild momentum swings and crazy comebacks, the Florida Panthers decided to suck the life out of most of Game 5 and this building with a smothering, stifling 5-2 victory. Although the score doesn't indicate it because the Oilers did make that push late. Didn't it kind of remind you of the biggest Florida Panthers win ever from last year?
Absolutely. It did have a feeling of that 2-1 win in Florida where McDavid and Draisaitl didn't have much energy. The Oilers didn't have much in that Game 7. They laid an egg tonight. They were absolutely terrible. And yes, you have to give credit to the Florida Panthers for executing their game plan to a T. But the Edmonton Oilers had no energy. There was nobody that stood out in a positive way for this group. On home ice, coming home after a massive emotional comeback win, they just completely laid an egg. It was just not good enough, and now they're chasing the series, heading back to Florida.
And it wasn't a golden egg they laid, it was a cracked egg. And when you think about the Edmonton Oilers, we spent all day talking about it being pivotal, right?
Yeah.
One word that comes, they were lethargic. To me, not one player on the Edmonton Oilers, not one, was able to play to their capabilities. And when you're in a pivotal Game 5 and you don't play anywhere near your capabilities, this is what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, Edmonton Oilers fans obviously filed out of this building deeply disappointed and asking a simple question: why? And those are the answers that we're going to be looking for as part of our coverage here in this postgame. Why didn't they have the legs that were required here in Game 5 on home ice? Well, not only this building, but this city electric. Why was there no physicality? Why weren't they trying to wear down the Florida Panthers? And again, what we describe as a pivotal game. And Noodles, I think we can dispel the myth that chanting the opposing goaltender's name helps, rattles anybody. It doesn't work.
It definitely doesn't work on Bobrovsky.
No.
You guys all just talked about how bad the Oilers were. That was a brilliant, brilliant performance by the Florida Panthers, and we're used to it with 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals. We'll get much more from these guys and tons of post-game reaction ahead, starting with the coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Chris Knoblauch.
Chris, you guys have put yourselves in a hole quite a bit in these playoffs and had to win 8 in a row, or sorry, eight comeback wins. Does that give you kind of the solace that you think you have to overcome that and win the series?
Yeah, no, it's speaking for tonight, you know, getting behind obviously is tough, and you can only do it so many times against this team. And you know, I thought we had a good start, and you know, we didn't capitalize on our early chances and made a couple mistakes. Obviously, they capitalized, but knowing that we're in a difficult situation, win our last 2 games is something that we're confident that we can do that. We've been through difficult situations before, and here's just another one that we'll overcome.
Left side, front row.
Chris, how do you rate the play of Pickard tonight, and who starts in net in Game 6?
I'm not going to make that decision right now after a tough loss like tonight. You know, from what I saw, I think Picks didn't have much chance on those goals, and you know, breakaways, shots through screens, slot shots. You know, there's nothing saying that it was a poor performance. So, yeah, that's what I see from it now.
Right side, third row.
I don't know if you'd agree, Chris, but to the eye, it seemed like they were getting the jump on a lot of pucks and such in the first portion of that game. Did you see it that way? And what do you think accounts for, you know, a group that wasn't at its high-end game in a really big moment in the early going here?
You know, we trailed later in the period. I'm not sure when they scored their first goal, but I thought we got off to a great start. We won a face-off and led to a goal against. So it's tough tonight. Like 2 of the goals against, we won the draws and they go down and score immediately. And you know, that's tough. Rather than being on the attack, having the puck, getting in on the forecheck, at least should happen. And what it turns out is we're picking the puck out of our net. So I thought the first 10 minutes, I thought it was a pretty good start. Second half of the period, not so much. But yeah, that's my feelings right now.
Left side, second row.
Chris, when you mentioned those 2 goals, so what did you see off of them? Because you're right, it's kind of rare to win the draw, and then seconds later, the puck's in your net.
Yeah, they just won the race to the puck, and whether we're not in a very good position to defend after that. But, those pucks laying behind, we should be able to pick up. And even if they do pick them up, we should still be in a pretty good position to defend and not give up to something that's too dangerous.
We'll take a few more. Right side, front row.
Yeah, Chris, you even though you didn't have a bad first 10 minutes, in the first periods in this series, you're being outscored 11-4. You've given up 2 goals in each of those first periods. Is that a little head scratching to you? Why this team hasn't come out with a little more zip?
Well, a lot of it's the being outscored. Big majority of that is from special teams. Giving up power play goals in the first period. I'm not sure how many they have in the first period, but I would say a good portion of that is part of the reason why there's us trailing as much as we are there. But it's so important when 2 teams are battling. Scoring that first goal is very important, and then also in the special teams battle is important too. And tonight, I thought our penalty kill did a pretty good job, and I thought our power play, besides one, I thought the rest of the power play opportunities that we had looked really good and just couldn't put the puck in the net.
Left side, fourth row.
What did you notice about Florida tonight versus the other game in the second period that made it so difficult to come back?
In the second period, I thought we had some good opportunities, chances, the majority of the play in the offensive zone. But it was a very tight checking game, and when you're trailing, those are the kind of games you'd like to open up a little bit. And they're not going to open up very much. They're a good, sound defensive team. They don't make many mistakes. We just had to try and execute a few more plays to open things up.
Last one, right side, front row.
Hey, Chris, this is the team. Your team is really good when they're throwing the puck around, when they're making plays, making passes. Did you feel like today you were just a little off, a little disconnected, and or is that something that you felt you guys were off, or you felt that they were doing a good job getting sticks and lanes and things like that?
There should be some credit given to them, but just the simple pass, tape to tape, whether you're, it's one thing if there's a defender in your way and you have to make a difficult pass through skates or over a stick or something like that. Excuse me. But I think probably a little bit of both.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Coach Chris Knoblauch, what do you make of those answers?
Yeah, I thought he was explaining away things that really didn't explain the game. What he was asked about being outscored 11-4 in the first period. He says, well, that's a lot of that special teams. Well, that means you're taking penalties. That means you're not ready to play. That means you're behind and you're not checking. You're not on top of the puck. So, you play a game like this, you need answers as a coach. And I think the answer is simple. We weren't nearly good enough to win this game. And they played way better than us. And for us to be better and win Game 6, we're going to have to be a lot better.
He also did not answer who will be his starter in Game 6 down in Florida. Who do you think should be the starter?
I would give Calvin Pickard another opportunity. This is only his first loss in the playoffs, period, so he's 7-1. You certainly cannot lay this loss at his feet. I didn't think he had his A stuff, but nobody, as you just mentioned, nobody for the Edmonton Oilers had their A game tonight. So you come back with that same group and give them an opportunity to respond on the road. Now, there was some high-quality chances. Pickard has been fantastic on breakaways in the playoffs. Well, he gets beat on 2 tonight, 0 for 2 on breakaways. So, yes, Stuart Skinner, you might want to give him an opportunity to rebound from getting pulled in Florida last time. But Calvin Pickard plays well. This group does respond in front of him. I think you give him another opportunity on the road to try and bring this back.
I'd be very surprised if they make yet another goaltending change to start, but it's a fair question.
Yeah.
And not because Pickard didn't play well enough, but just because of the way the series has gone. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see Stu Skinner in Game 6.
I think they have to start Calvin Pickard because they need to have some consistency.
Starts to look panicky, doesn't it?
Exactly,
Yeah.
James. And familiarity with your lineup, knowing what you're doing. Now it's back and forth. It's here. We're going to get into Matthias Ekholm. Why he played him on the right side in this game is baffling because Matthias Ekholm doesn't play on the right side. Consistency, familiarity with your lineup.
We sat there watching this, and you guys were all saying the same thing for the first couple of periods anyway, that the Oilers looked tired. So how do you explain how a 37-year-old in Brad Marchand is the star of this game and continues to be one of the stars of this playoffs, if there's a Mount Rushmore for trade deadline acquisitions, I don't know who the other two guys are, but it's Butch Goring and Brad Marchand now side by side, is it not?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, he's put himself right in the Conn Smythe Trophy conversation right now. That's how good he's been. And if I have to explain one thing, I would say the injury that he had at the end of the season, where he did get taxed more and he was able to get some recovery time and come back healthy, I think it's really helped him at this age. And he looks like he's found a fountain of youth. And the energy that he plays with and the brains that he plays with, just outstanding.
He's reinvigorated too. And you talk to people in Florida, and when he first came to Florida with the injury, he was trying to settle in, and they told him, just relax, play your game, but also be yourself. This is a big personality. This is a guy who's massive in the room, is a terrific leader, and at 37 years old, he looks 27. He's flying out there, winning loose puck battles. He was the best player on the ice tonight.
Yeah, look, and as you alluded to, James, give Bill Zito and the Florida Panthers credit for making that acquisition at the trade deadline. And you wonder, where would the Florida Panthers be without Brad Marchand at this point? And furthermore, there's reaction around the National Hockey League to what we're seeing from Brad Marchand and what we're seeing, the consistency of the offense and the leadership of Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers as well. And our Chris Johnson, a week or so ago, threw out, I think on Overdrive, that Brad Marchand is looking for something in the neighborhood of 4 years at better than $8 million per year. And the feedback during the game after he scored his second today from a couple of coaches was, I like him. I like him. 4 years. I don't care if he's 41 years old when this deal is getting older. That's fine.
The two Conn Smythe favorites are Bennett and Marchand. And I don't remember two guys making themselves more money in a playoffs as they're set to be unrestricted free agents. He's elite company as far as active players go. Now, the goal scoring, there's nobody that matches him as far as playoff goals. Also, Marchand now was 6 in the Stanley Cup Finals. The only two guys ever to have more than 5 twice in the Stanley Cup Final are Mario and Brad Marchand. Let's hear from Marchand now. He's at the podium.
Brad, first, just can you take us through that second goal? Obviously, that's a highlight that I'm sure is going to live on for quite some time.
It started with a great stick at our line from Lusty, and then I just tried to get inside and get a puck on net. I don't really, to be honest, know what happened. I haven't seen a replay. It just found its way in, so it's a good feeling.
Front right.
Sam, just what can you say about the playoff? The guy beside you's put in another 2 goals tonight, 10 goals in the playoffs.
I mean, it's those big moments when you need guys to step up. Time and time again, he's there to produce. Yeah, I'll stop. That's good.
Front left.
Yeah, for both of you guys, your guys are out. You're 1 win away. Sam, first for you, just what did you guys learn about how tough it is to get that 16th win last year after going up 3-0 and then Edmonton forcing 7? And Brad, you've been in this situation as well. Just how tough is it to get that final win?
Yeah, I mean, the more times you're in a situation like this, the more comfortable you're going to be. We've been staying in the moment very well, all postseason, and it's just about handling your day. And we did what we set out to do today, and now it's about recovering and getting back at it in a couple days.
Front right.
Sam felt like maybe you had a bit more to say about Brad there. Last time you guys were at the podium, he gave you the cue to wrap it up. I'm just wondering what stands out about his personality and how he influences the team with his voice.
That's what you need at this time of year. Everyone's nervous at times, and when you got personalities like that in the room, it just settles everything down, and we're all about having fun here.
Back left.
Sam, your line has been tasked with guarding McDavid's line or Draisaitl throughout the series, and how good did it feel to see Barkov get on the score sheet at even strength and create a goal against that line?
Yeah, I mean it's a team effort defending guys like that. We've known all series that the challenge is there for us. No one really cares in our locker room who's producing at when. It's just a matter that someone is at the right times, and that's what we've had.
Front right.
Brad, after all you've seen and done, do you still get nervous?
Not really, no. To be honest with you, I said this to my wife, the most nervous I've been in years was before game one, just the amount of time we had kind of leading up to it. But that morning when I woke up, it kind of left. It's more just kind of sitting waiting, more just antsy than anything, but not nervous. I mean, it's going to play out the way it's going to play out, and said it a ton of times. We're just enjoying the moment. It's a special time, special memories we're going to have forever. So yeah, just not really nervous, just excited.
Right side, second row.
Sam, you talked about how you guys defended tonight. What was, I guess, the key to limiting their guys tonight? Was that the best that you guys played defensively? It seemed like even like you were upset when McDavid did get that goal, just the way that you guys had played defensively tonight.
I think I'm upset every time they get a goal. But no, I think when we're moving like we are, we're supporting the puck, both offensively and defensively. That's when we're at our best. We've talked about take away their time and space, make them as uncomfortable as we possibly can, and that leads to a lot of our offense. So that's what our focus is.
To the Oilers room and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Well, I mean, obviously they got one, and then found a way to get a second one, which obviously chasing the game over and over against a team like this it's very difficult. Obviously, it was tight checking game all the way through, and they took advantage of some opportunities, and at the end of the day we didn't, and that ends up being the difference.
It's a recipe, but it's not always working coming back.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the way you draw it up. It's not the way you want to have to play every night, but we're never gonna quit on each other, and we're always gonna try our hardest to get back in the game. But sometimes it's harder than other nights. But I mean, we're gonna go into Florida with a job to do, and do everything we can to do it.
What was your sense of the power play tonight? What could have been different, I guess, to break through?
I mean, we had some looks for sure, but maybe find a way to generate some second, third looks quickly. Kind of pull them out of their formation a little bit more, but I thought we had some looks, and we'll stay confident, stay positive, and take a look, obviously, see if we can correct anything.
What made it hard for forwards to get to the net? Most of the shot at the even straight came from the defenseman.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's. We've been doing it all series. You gotta put more pucks there, forwards and D, and then play off of it, and find ways to get those pucks back, and then re-attack as quick as you can. And tonight we were stuck on the outside a little bit too much, but we'll find ways to get back there.
Ryan, you guys haven't made it easy on yourselves at times in these playoffs. You have 8 comeback wins. Does that kind of give you maybe some solace or some motivation or whatnot that you can get this done?
Yeah, I mean, we know that we can get it done. It's just a matter of going out there and finding a way to do it. It's obviously going to be our hardest challenge yet. So we'll look forward to it. We'll take it obviously tonight, tomorrow to reset, and go from there. But no, I mean, we have confidence in ourselves that we can get the job done. But it's a lot easier said than done. You got to go do it. So we'll look forward to that.
It's a cliche.
This is one of those performances where the guys talk and they go up for the cameras, but they don't have any real answers. I don't know how you do. Chris Knoblauch tried to answer the first period issues. The last 3 games, it's a cumulative 7-0 Florida in the first period over the Oilers. As you mentioned, Craig, he talked about special teams, but both Florida goals tonight were 5-on-5. How do you explain that start when you have all the good vibes coming out of that comeback win in Florida?
You can't. It almost felt like it was a November scheduled game where they came home off of a long road trip, and it was just a lethargic, no energy start. And the Florida Panthers, who were frustrated having given away last game, they were the quicker team. They were more determined. This is Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals in your own building. Yes, you had a couple chances early on in the first 3 minutes of the game. But outside of that, it was the Panthers that did everything to make the Edmonton Oilers look slow and look uninterested. They're interested. It's just you could hear even Sam Reinhart say, we wanted to make life difficult for them, limit their time and space. They did that to a T, and they made the Edmonton Oilers look really poor on home ice in that first period.
Yeah, they did. And, the margins are real thin in a Stanley Cup final with 2 very good teams. And Chris Knoblauch's had a magic touch with this team. putting Matthias Ekholm on the right side is not a magic touch. That was a real mistake. Matthias Ekholm doesn't play the right side. Marchand beat him like a rented mule on that first goal that got them behind. It's off a face-off, and now here is Ekholm playing on that side. He's not accustomed to playing on that side of the ice, and Marchand goes right inside of him. You can see where Ekholm gets on his right foot outside, and that's the first goal. And then Ekholm, who's such a steady player, bad giveaway right in front of the bench, and it's right back down in the zone. A block shot, Bennett's right on it, and it's 2-0 just like that. Matthias Ekholm will be the first one to tell you he was not up to par. His 2 mistakes early on in that game, 2-0 Florida.
Let's see if he tells us. Let's hear from Matthias Ekholm.
Switch. How do you do it? Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we've come out flat now with most of the series, so that's something. I think it's a mindset. I think we just got to make sure we get pucks in. Try to put pressure on them. They're obviously a good team for a reason, and they've come out and shown that early in the games, and we gotta find a way to be better than that in the start.
What did you see on the second goal, the Marchand one, the face-off at center ice?
Kind of half won it, and he came through with a lot of speed, and I was trying to just get the puck, and he got it by me, so that's pretty much what I saw.
TS, do you think that it's, finding your guys' game early seems to be a bit of a struggle here. Are you sensing nerves with the group? Is it just kind of pausing in the moment a little bit? Like, what do you think's happening early on to the group mentally?
Well, if I knew, I would obviously address it, but they're a good team over there. We're a good team. We got to just make sure we bear down early on in games. It hasn't happened for us, and obviously we need to go down Florida and win a game, and we got to try to flip that and just make sure we. It's those simple cliches. You got to make sure you get pucks deep and put some pressure on them. And obviously we haven't been able to do too much of that early on, and that's on us. We got to be better at that.
With desperation, is it? How do you find it manufactured in a tie game or a 0-0 game? It seems when you guys are behind, you find it. What is it? Is it being physical? Is it?
Again, if I knew, I'd obviously address it, and then we'll be better. But I'm sure we'll look at some things and learn from it. And at this time, it's more about looking forward. And I'm not too big on looking in the rearview mirror. We just got to look forward. We got to go down to Florida and win a game. And whether that's hitting more or that's playing a simpler game, we'll have to look at that and address it.
Is it frustrating that your best is good enough to beat?
And now Darnell Nurse.
An advantage going on you and pushing. Did it feel like that way you were always falling behind on this?
Yeah, they pushed. It took. I thought our second period was better, and then we were behind chasing the game. And good teams, you give them enough chances to have leads in the third. They're going to find a way to put one away. So they did that tonight.
When you guys are down, obviously, you're going to find some jump and some energy and some motivation. What's the key to figuring out how to grab that earlier in the game and just kind of to start with that, the way you guys play on it?
Yeah, when we're down, we play simple. It's not much thought to our game. It's just hard work, straight lines, a simple game, and good plays come from that. We got to get to that earlier in our game.
Do you feel you're a little disconnected today, or how did you kind of sense that first period, the second half of that first period anyway?
Yeah, there's a connectedness you feel as a group. I think we've had it for moments over the course of this series, but it wasn't there tonight. Playing with five, being tight, working our way out of our zone into their zone. Like I said, the second period, I thought there was a good amount of that, but not enough to win the game.
Starts have been a problem all series. How do you explain the slow starts you guys have had?
If guys were, if we were coming in here and trying to start slow, I would have an answer for you, but that's not the case.
When you don't have it early, I guess, is it tough to find? Is it what you guys are doing or what they're doing? How do you kind of try to combat that throughout the game?
Yeah, we just got to play our game earlier. Like I said, I think you just talked about simplifying and putting our head down and working and just playing our game, not worrying about anything else.
We got it.
Ryan Rishaug has emerged from that dressing room where he gathered much of that sound for us. You've watched this team all year. You've watched this group since it's been together. What do you make of that performance?
Well, two things stand out to me. I think the starts, as you guys were talking about before, Noodles, I thought you made a great point about how they're making them look slow. I mean, the Oilers multiple games in a row here, it feels like the moment, they've been caught watching the moment a little bit instead of going and grabbing it. If you think about this team when they're at their best, right, they dictate, they go after it, they look fast, they look like they've been skating in molasses early on in games here. The other one is the power play. I thought the power play sucked energy out of this team tonight. They have been scoring some goals, but there's not new set plays. There aren't new different looks. They're not snapping it around and finding new things. And this power play is very good at going and finding those answers. And tonight it was very stagnant, very stale, and not a lot of new solutions.
We don't know who the starter will be for Game 6. Noodles says he would go back to Pickard. What do you think?
I think Stuart Skinner, with the Stanley Cup in the building, has won 3 games for this franchise and pushed and shown that he can, under pressure, do it. I think with the Stanley Cup on the line, you probably go back to your franchise guy. That's my instinct.
It doesn't look too much back and forth.
But Skinner's a good bounce-back goalie. He's shown himself to be that. He'll lose the nets and come back strong, usually.
My biggest thing is, you're right, you don't want to show panic, but you give an opportunity to a guy to bounce back. So that's why I was like, okay, Pickard coming off a game where maybe he didn't have his A stuff in the group in front of him. You want some consistency back there. Yes, Skinner's been the guy, but the one thing I look at with Stuart Skinner, Florida seems to have found something on him. He's a big guy that doesn't move well side to side. At least Pickard moves well side to side. So that's the thing where Pickard maybe, the way he plays mechanically, it messes up Florida a little bit. He's an aggressive guy. Now they adjusted tonight, so we'll see. But Skinner was great in games 4, but he wasn't last game. So they broke that streak of Stuart Skinner's as well. So it's concerning, but ultimately, whoever plays in net, they need a game from them.
Let's hear from Florida Panthers coach Paul Maurice.
Jameson.
Coach, after every win, you've kind of highlighted an inflection point in the game up tonight. There was the penalty kill, Marchand's goal, Rhino's goal. Just in your mind, what was that inflection point in this win?
I thought Sergei in the first 10 minutes got tested hard. I thought that they came out right and fast. He got through the neutral zone almost a couple of times, and he had to make a couple of big saves. And when you're on the road, if you can keep the building from lighting up in the first 10 minutes, that's just a big part of the emotions of what goes on. So I thought that his performance, especially early in the game, was key.
Right side, 4th row.
Hi, Paul. I know it's a sports game and everyone is chipping in, but Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand, it's 11 goals since the start of the Stanley Cup Final. It's close to 50%. Why are they so good when the stage is at the highest?
If I knew that, I'd have played in the NHL. They're just certainly capable of processing the context of the game. They don't get too high, they don't get too low. Their energy level's high, they're very focused on the game. There's a mental toughness there, a mental capacity to stay within the game and not try to break it open, just wait, be patient. And patience is a funny word in hockey. It doesn't mean sit back. I mean, they're aggressive men. But the patience, part of it is their experience.
Left side, front row.
Hey, Paul. You guys are 1 win away now. You guys are obviously here. What did you learn? What do you hope your team learned from last year, being up 3-0, having to go into 7, about what it takes to get that 16th win?
Today is today, and we won't deal with tomorrow. You just handle your day. We handle our day today, and we've got a travel routine. We're going to run the exact same routine. We got a day off the next travel. Just handle your day. That's all.
Right side, 2nd row.
Paul, you touched on Sergei in the first 10 minutes. They didn't get a shot on goal for the last 11 or so minutes of the first period, and you guys looked comfortable up 2-0 and playing that way. It was obviously different in Game 4 when they were able to come back on you. What was the difference tonight, and why did you guys look the way you did in that situation?
It's not a big thing. It's the smallest thing, right? It's 2 feet ice taken, a good stick, close support. When we got into the second period of Game 4, we weren't that far off it. We were just 2 feet off it. So these are small margins on everything that happens on the ice. The danger of that team is always there. You got to be a foot better, 2 feet better, a little better stick, all those small things. And that's I didn't feel as badly about our game as the score says, the final score says that we should have. I didn't think we were that far off in our last game, and I also don't think that there was an egregious difference tonight. The final score doesn't tell the story. So many close plays, a post that, it's a lot tighter than the final score wants you to believe.
All right, quickly, guys, what has to happen for us to be back here next week for Game 7?
I expected orchestrated chaos in Game 5 here on home ice, and we didn't see it. We saw Edmonton play a patient game. They've got to get back to more of that orchestrated chaos in Game 6. Evander Kane registered 2 hits. Podkolzin led the Oilers with 7 hits. So you need more of what Zach Hyman normally would provide, and that's dragging this team into the fight.
To quote Bruce Springsteen, no retreat, baby, no surrender.
For me, it's just urgency. They played like it was a November game. This is do or die. They've got to get it done.
Second straight year, they're in a big hole. It's not a 3-0 hole, but 3-2 seems like a pretty big crater. 80% of the teams that win Game 5 in a 2-2 Stanley Cup final go on to win the Stanley Cup. Oilers have to hope they can be part of the 20%.